Whenever we think of a camp out, we immediately start thinking of a campfire. Now, while a gas stove is the best way to cook while camping because it's faster to get going, you have more control, and particularly if you're climbing out of the tent in the morning and it's cold and you just want that cup of coffee, you don't want to mess around with the campfire, want to get that gas stove going. But that being said, everything always tastes better when it's cooked over a campfire. But what is the best wood for a campfire? All right. Well, let's establish what are we talking about. Types of campfires. So this is a photo from my survival school days. I went through a survival school, and on the last day, you have to build a survival fire. Now, if you are in an emergency situation, you're really not going to be building a big giant campfire. You're going to need to get some small sticks, some little bitty twigs, and be able to get them together just to get the fire started. And I'll tell you, it's a lot harder than you think, particularly if it's wet. Let's even look at these small sticks and twigs and pieces of wood. If it's wet, it takes a lot longer than you think. I had to do this recently. I was doing a backpacking trip. It had rained over the weekend. Everything was soaked. We were dropping down into the 30s. So even here in Texas, we needed a campfire to keep warm. And my buddy was thinking we were just going to have to bail and go home because this is going to be too cold. And he was sure I wasn't going to be able to get a fire started. But I collected what felt like 1,000 twigs, got it going, got it up and running. But and then we were able to keep a fire going all night long. But I'm assuming you're thinking about, if you're watching this video, you're thinking of a traditional, car camping camp out. What's the best kind of wood for that type of, you know, like, weekend getaway? Well, what you're going to want is your hardwoods. Now, perhaps the most common is going to be oak, cedar. You also can get maple and hickory. Uh, when I'm camping here, I'm pretty much using oak. It's just the most common wood we have here in Texas for when you look for firewood. And what's great about your hardwoods is that once they get lit, they are going to uh, go for a long time. Bushcrafter Cole Cracker, Cole Cracker Bushcraft. He's one of the outdoor survival instructors on YouTube. He says you can think of an average log will last you about an hour while you're doing while doing a campfire, and I would agree with that. So, but it is amazing how fast the wood will go once the fire is lit. I mean, when you're looking at a fire as a color like you see on the screen here, that's, it's 500, 800 degrees worth of heat there. So if, it's going to burn the wood very quickly. Now, another thing about hardwoods is that you do want to use seasoned wood. That means you've chopped it, processed it, split it up into chunks you want to use for campfires, and then ideally we want to let it dry out. And because you want to get rid of as much moisture as possible, that takes several months, maybe even years, sometimes to really be properly seasoned for a campfire. That being said, I can tell you from personal experience that if the fire's hot enough, it doesn't really matter how dry the wood or how seasoned the wood is, it will get lit. The other thing you can do is that make sure you split the wood into small chunks and cut off any bark. Like, for example, if you have wet wood and you you can't get it lit, if you take your saw or a knife and just get rid of the outside bark, the inside bark should be dry and will light up. So if you want to learn how to make a campfire, watch this video next.